Welcome to another edition of Small Talk for You. This morning I wanted to take a look at one of the things I do for Bottom Feeder, and that is go from this, which is a development environment with the application loaded and running in it, and take it to the end executable on either Windows or Mac or what have you. And the question is, how do I go about doing all that? Well, let's get out of this and I'll show you what I do. First thing I want to do is load up a little application that I published to the public repository. So I call this Builder Bundle. The only reason it's called a bundle here instead of just a little package is that there are a bunch of little sample files I shipped with it, and you have to attach those to bundles. So I loaded that in, and see here the scripts. So I'll just say, okay, I have all these already, so I'm not going to load them. Once that's in, what I can do is I can go to the Tools menu, and there's a Build Tool option right here. Now what it'll do is it'll pick up my scripts. Now this is the one I want right here. First thing I want to do is edit the files to show you what I've got, and it brings up a whole bunch of them. So I've got a bunch of little files that have brought up all the scripts that I run. Let's move these out of the way and I'll bring up the one in question. This is the basic build script, and I have a bunch of things in here. Starter would be, if it's not a VisualWorks script, the script that you want to load, so it could be a shell script, something else. Here's the actual Smalltalk script if it's not being started by something else. Here's an assertion script, and the idea here is it's going to run a script and then it's going to execute an assertion script to see if that script worked. It'll return either true or false. And then this is either true or false for whether or not I should run the VisualWorks VM. And it's smart enough to figure out what VM you're running now with the image you've got running so that it can pick up the same one and run an image. So it's all pretty simple. I have a bunch of scripts here and I specify them, and then all of those scripts are basically the same thing. Here's just one of the assertion ones. I look to see if this image file exists. So this thing is just loaded into this existing image and fires with the compiler evaluating it. That's how that works. So let's get out of these scripts. This one here, I suppose I should mention too, this goes ahead and executes a shell script that I have to actually do the builds into a bunch of zip files for pushing up to a server. So I've automated the entire process from start to finish through this connected bit of scripts and assertion scripts. That's really all I had to do. So let's close all those out and take a look at the next step. The next step would be to execute, and it's going to just execute all the steps. I'll go ahead and hit it. Notice the first thing it says, yes, I found your build script. Now it's starting this, and it's going to be firing up visual.im and loading in a bunch of parcels. So in a moment you'll see an image pop up on the screen here. And there it goes. So you can see that it's executing. What I'm going to do is pause this because a whole bunch of things are going to run, and then come back to this at the end when everything's already finished. And you can see it finished. If I take a look at the log, I have, in addition to the log that's scrolled through here, I've got a version of that log sitting here, and I've just got VI running in this. But you can see what it did. It executes all this stuff, finishes out, and then if I do this, ls-l on star.im, you'll see that I've got bfeed_non-win.im, which is the file of interest here. And if I look at build bfdir, which is where I dump things, the last script, notice all these zip files now have dates of today at 8:32 a.m. So it worked. All of my scripts ran, and I ended up with a completed build. So I went from start to finish with a single button press. Now, admittedly, I had to take all the scripts that I brought up first with this edit button and write those, so it's not a completely automated thing from that standpoint. But you have to do some work somewhere, and that's pretty much where it's at. So that's about it for today. Until next time, have fun with whatever Smalltalk you're using.